Hello, this is Naudi Aguilar at Functional Patterns, and for today's video tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to address your thoracic outlet syndrome. Contrary to popular belief, most people think that a thoracic outlet syndrome is going to be coupled with a shoulder protraction and scapular elevation. It's not typically going to actually work that way. It's going to be the exact inverse of that. It's going to be a retraction of the shoulders and a depression of the scapula that's going to create that nerve entrapment in that area where the clavicle is going to compress on that brachial plexus nerve. Anytime that you depress your scapulas, you're going to also tend to find that the clavicles are going to want to come along for the ride, and that will be what compresses that particular point. So today we're going to employ as a strategy to help counteract the effects of what's creating that nerve compression, and that should help you substantially with your functional capacities. The tools we're going to need for this tutorial will be a couple of FP bands. You can find these at functionalpatterns.com in the product section, and you will also probably need, more than likely in ideal circumstances, a pulley machine. This pulley machine right here is our dual arm MP trainer. It's pretty sweet. It actually goes out about 24 meters. It's amazing, and it creates a level of just consistency in the tension that is unheralded. So if you guys have that available to you, feel lucky, because it's an amazing machine. If you don't, you can use a regular pulley stack too, and it will help you along the path with this technique as well. So simply put, most people generally tend to operate from this continually depressed and retracted scapular position because they're always training themselves to have good posture, supposedly. This is not good posture. This is overcompensated posture. If somebody tells you that this is good posture, they don't really fully understand the implications of what posture actually means and how it's supposed to apply to dynamic movement. And so really what they're doing is they're negating the development of the upper trapezius muscles here, and by negating that, that's going to create all sorts of just in general flaccid tendencies that you're going to have out of the shoulder. And what we're going to focus on right now is an elevation, so that way we can get some more support from the deltoids, from the pec majors and whatnot, and put these muscles in a better position to load, which will then help you get better shoulders. But then on top of that, it should also take some of the compression, at least some of the compression off of those clavicles. Simply put, all we're going to do is take these two straps, I'm going to step down with our feet onto the floor like so, to the point where these bands are going to create some level of compression in the way that they are. What you're then going to do is go back to a pulley, and we're going to begin to induce a transverse rotation from the trunk, and we're going to emphasize going into a trunk rotation as we're holding our fixed point with the trunk. So the idea of these bands is that you're going to fight them to create a scapular elevation and rib cage elevation, which will then also promote a spinal decompression. But then that's also going to allow you to begin to twist. And the twisting motion is going to be very essential for having better biomechanics overall with your body. So it's going to be imperative that you create these decompressions so you can twist, and when you walk and when you run, you will use that twist with that decompression, and that in turn is going to have amazing benefits for your biomechanics, never mind the things that it should be able to help with your clavicles and that thoracic outlet syndrome. So basically, we're going to have the feet pointing straight forward, the hips are going to stay square, and then I'm going to just be moving with my arms and rotating the trunk over, keeping my hips as square as possible, elevating the scapulas against the bands, so that at that point I'm creating that space between that nerve and that clavicle. I'm going to keep a slight shoulder protraction compared to what the retractions are that most people have. And the idea is just to find a neutral shoulder joint altogether. The abdomen's going to stay retracted along for the ride. The spine's going to stay in somewhat of a neutral state, mostly neutral, to the best of your ability. And that will be a great way to unravel some of the distortions here. Be very, very watchful of this whole of the advice of people telling you to pin your shoulders back and retract your shoulders. I taught that way back in the day, and it had dire consequences on me. I started feeling numbness and tingling going down my arms, and I'm like, what the hell's doing that? What is it that's causing that on my body? Eventually, I drew the conclusions that me forcing something like this was not helping me, so I eventually kind of let it go, and I allowed myself to kind of sit into more of a neutral position in terms of figuring out where my shoulders are supposed to be, and consequently, as a result, I feel substantially better. Hit my mid-30s in stride, pain-free, and I'm continually making them gains, baby. I'll see you guys here pretty soon. This is Naudi Aguilar at Functional Patterns, reminding you to train intentionally and not habitually. Peace.